So we're down to our last minute before we start. Some of the things I'm using today. So I gave you guys choices on your add-ins. I'm going to be using toasted coconut. I'm also going to be using hemp hearts, because it has like a nutty flavor to it, and I really like that. I also am going to be using chocolate protein powder for my protein bites instead of like vanilla. I have coconut flour. Not coconut flour. I have almond flour. You could use coconut flour. In a pinch, if you don't have it at home, if you run roll oats through the food processor, it gives you an edible flour, and that works. Mixed nuts, does that work for your flour? Are you using mixed nuts, or are you using it for your add-in? So if you're using it for your add-in, that's fine. Some people like mixed nuts. Some people use dried cranberries or raisins. I like toasted coconut because it reminds me of a Bounty bar. And then chocolate chips. So I'm going to use semi-sweet. I was debating between dark or semi-sweet. I'm going to use semi-sweet. Oh, email coming in real quick. Might just see if it's a student. So for the kiddo who keeps sending me emails, please do it. Just please type in the chat, because it's easier for me to see, and I don't have to like reach in and click back and forth between browsers. Just makes it a little easier. I'm using coconut oil, and the reason I'm using coconut oil, if you don't have a double boiler, or if you ever want to make like a quick, like a hard crack for ice cream, if you do chocolate chips, when you're melting them and put a bit of coconut oil in till it's smooth, it'll actually harden and crack, and that's what I use as a quick topping for ice cream. If you ever want to have a little quick, pour some chocolate and have it harden like you would get at Dairy Queen in those places, you can actually put some coconut oil in with your chocolate chips, and it will harden just the same, instead of worrying about tempering. I'm going to try to get a perfect temper today. We'll see what happens, and if not, coconut oil, it'll still solidify. You still have to keep them in the fridge anyway. So it is 41, so we are going to get started. I'm excited, and we have 41 signed in. That is so awesome. I don't know if there's any teachers here that are stopping in to check this out. So got recipe. We're going to start right at the get-go. Medium-sized bowl. We're going to combine our protein powder and our, okay, so kiddos here that can't join into the chat, that's okay. Protein powder and edible flour. So this is 2 scoops, 50 to 60 grams. Most protein powders come with a scoop that does that portioning, and that'll vary depending on what you have. I choose a vegan protein powder. I don't really care for the whey. I don't like the texture or the aftertaste of whey ones, so I use more of a vegan one, and it has like chia seeds and pumpkin seeds and everything in it too. I use a leveler. Silicone, so great for that. I see a question. In grams, like all of them? I could if you're weighing them, but I only put, it says 50, 60 grams because it all depends on your protein powder. If you really want to test my math skills today, and I don't remember what, actually, I don't even remember cups to grams for some of it. I think 109 grams is around 8 tablespoons. So 2 cups of protein powder and edible flour. So I'm going to get my protein powder in. I always level off. So just taking a straight edge, level it off into the container before you dump it into your bowl. I get my protein powder. You can get it from any health food store. We have a local pharmacy that has a health food section. I do have my own sources because I'm also a consultant for a company that sells spices and things, and they have a vegan protein powder that I really like, so I get it from them too. So yeah, you can get them pretty much anywhere. If you like the whey ones, I got it at Walmart. Sure, that works too. Walmart has some good ones too. It depends on where you go, but they have them anywhere, and it depends on your taste. Can I use coffee powder? Coffee powder, like espresso powder instead of protein powder? Or you mean like cocoa powder? I would not use that because cocoa powder is super bitter and coffee powder can make it super bitter. If you're going to use a cocoa powder, you wouldn't use 2 scoops. I would use a couple of tablespoons because it will very much influence the flavor a lot. So, and then the next is a cup of flour that can be eaten raw. So like I said, you can make your own. If you do not want to buy it, you could actually put almonds, oats in a food processor and grind them down super fine, and it will give you your oat flour. Please use a spoon in the bag. Don't dip the cups in the bag because A, you're gonna make a mess. B, not sanitary. So make sure to use a spoon. And yes, I am for those who I am going to give a shout out because I do know that there is a bunch of my former Foods Club as well as some current grade 9s who are going to go to high school next year, and I didn't get to teach foods to this year. And I'd like to thank you guys for coming out. I am gonna miss you guys, and it's been truly a pleasure to teach you guys. So I do miss all my lovely grade 9s and my grade 8s who are currently currently in grade 9, who I'm not going to get to teach foods to next year. So maybe, you know what, might catch us a few bit more on YouTube. If we were going to skip, nope. If you were just going to put a bit of cocoa powder, hint, instead of cocoa powder, if you have hot chocolate, use hot chocolate. You could use 2 scoops of hot chocolate to make a chocolatey one versus cocoa powder. What are we on? Flour. So flour, cup of flour. I used almond flour, 2 scoops of protein powder. Or if you want to just make it sweet, you can use hot chocolate. How much almond powder? 1 cup. So almond flour. I had sent everybody the recipe. 1 cup of almond flour or the flour that you're going to be using. So we're all good now? And just take your spoon, mix it around, check it, mix in a bit. Good, we're all good there. For those who are from one of my class I taught outdoor ed to before last time we were on online, this is almost the same recipe as I'm going to be using that I used in class and I showed you guys when we made them that time. And then 1 cup, we're all good. So we're going to add next a cup of milk or a quarter cup of milk or milk butter. Or peanut butter. I can grab my milk from the fridge. I'm just using almond milk because that's what I have in the fridge. You can use oat milk, you can use regular milk, you could use peanut butter if you choose to. Nice. Awesome. So if you have containers that are like this, or even the other big 2 liters, a little trick, some people tend to go like this and it builds up air and it like sputters out. If you turn it the other way, the air will get into it and actually force the milk out without making a mess. 1 cup. And then a quarter cup of milk. Yep. But essentially, it's okay for those who are like, you can use almond butter. Yes, you can use almond, cashew, peanut butter. You can use regular milk. You can use a mixture of both. We're just going to add enough so it makes like a doughy consistency. Something that you're able to shape with your hands. So if you can't make a ball with your hands and it falls apart, that means you need more milk. If it falls apart, yeah, you need more milk. If it's way too sticky and it sticks to your hands a bit, then that means you need to add a little bit more flour. So we're just looking for that nice consistency that we can roll comfortably. And I just got mass emails. It's either people can't log in. Okay, some people are here. So I'm gonna jump in. I literally just got an email from a parent saying, hey, my kid wants to come see. So I just sent an email real quick. What do we have to put in already? So 2 scoops of protein powder, 1 cup of almond flour or what flour you're using, and a quarter cup of milk or nut butter. Yeah, so we're just gonna add it in. I'll add all of a quarter cup and then just start stirring, and then we'll see where we end up. I'm gonna use a spatula. You can use a spoon, a fork, whatever you're comfortable with. Generally, I don't tend to measure my milk because we're just looking for something that's a sticky consistency. So I just put in a quarter cup different protein powders will absorb, and different types of flour will absorb the milk differently. So it might take more, it might take less, all depends on what. So as you can see, I've added a 1/4 cup, and that's what mine looks like, super crumbly. So I want to say free pour, but I'm just gonna add a little bit like that. I'm just gonna keep adding a little bit till we get the consistency that we want. How's everybody doing? Any questions? You guys doing okay? So I saw a comment, so you can either use nut butter or milk. Just make sure you mix it thoroughly. The funny thing is, if I was doing the fact, well, you could also use your hands if you really wanted to, because you're going to roll them with your hands anyway. But but obviously you're going to be feeding your family, so this is not, I wouldn't say that's sanitary. Or if you have gloves and want to use it with gloves, that would work fine too. So mine's getting there. So I added a bit more milk, and mine's still really crumbly, but it's getting there. So I'm just gonna add a little bit, like a tablespoon. For those who I've taught foods to, they know I don't measure often, unless I'm demoing. I do everything by taste and feel, because that's how I learned from my grandma and from my mom, my stepmom and my mom. And yeah, can I add more milk? Yes. So if it's a little crumbly, you add a little bit more. I took like a little. Yeah, if it looks like dog kibble, mix it a little bit, because you're going to look like, because mine's getting to a paste. So essentially it's not falling out of the bowl when I turn it sideways. I was giving a shout out to my grade 9s. We have our stories. I am not sharing stories over live stream. Although I did share that one story when I do share it in my math class, because we made cookies in math class. And the funny thing is, there's always one kid who's like, really? I'm like, yep. So mine, I can pick it up, but mine's sticking to my hands. So I should probably add a little bit more. I add a bit too much milk and add a little bit more flour. Well, the thing is too, this is a broadcast, so obviously I'm not going to embarrass any student. I also like to post this if people choose to use it in the future, so I'm not going to tell the stories as I do. I know, I still feel I'm gonna add a little bit of flour, not a lot, because mine's still a little sticky. Essentially looking a little bit like Play-Doh. And that's fine. I know. If you go. Yes, protein shake powder will work as well. There you go. I keep getting emails, so I just have to keep checking. Oh darn, they can't open that link. All right. Just darn. Where am I gonna find this? Okay, so they can't open that link. So yeah, if you use protein shake powder, that works as well. So mine, it kind of looks like when I do bannock or when I tell you like pizza dough, or if you guys have ever baked before. My hands come back virtually clean, which means the consistency of my dough is done well. I heard that we were going, that's what another student said earlier, that they announced that we are going back to school on Tuesday, which means next week might have to change a little bit. And I will send an email to the school letting that know what that looks like. Hi, Erica. Nice. Thank you. This is the one. So at band camp last year, I was in the process of building a house, and I put all the add-ins into my kitchen to what I wanted to get done. So Super stoked. Love my kitchen. All right, so next, add your add-ins. So I'm gonna add toasted coconut, and I'm gonna add some hemp seeds because that's what I opted for mine. Too much milk, too much oatmeal. That's what I'm using. Okay, so where is it right now? Is it too sticky or too dry? The person who just typed me said they're going back and forth. So for those of you whose dough is okay, you can start doing your add-ins. I'm gonna add a tablespoon of hemp hearts. I'm also gonna add 2 tablespoons of toasted coconut because I like that toasted coconut. Like dog kibble, but sticks to my fingers. Should I add a little bit of flour and then mix it thoroughly? So if it looks like dog kibble and it's still sticky to your hands, take a little bit of flour and then mix it really well through. And it will hold. Okay, I think you just got it right. Perfect. So I'm gonna add 2 tablespoons of that. So you're just gonna do your add-ins. I made a lot of toasted coconut because once I dip it in chocolate, then I'm gonna sprinkle it on top. I also have a topper which has cocoa and cinnamon and cocoa nibs, cinnamon, and coconut in it. Yeah, cocoa nibs, cinnamon, and coconut. So here's a fun one. I'm gonna do the rest of this with my hands. And essentially just gonna roll it down. It's kind of like you're trying to add sprinkles into Play-Doh. Or when you're doing chocolate chips and you're putting chocolate chip into cookies. So see, that's what mine looks like. You got to see all the coconut, you can see the hemp, and all my add-ins are looking pretty cool. They're looking like they're mixed in all the way through. Questions? You guys getting to the point where you can put your add-ins in? Doing okay with that? I just don't want to go too fast. My trick for my kitchen, I keep a hand towel so I can wash. I wash and I keep a sink full of sudsy water just exclusively to rinse my hands off. Rinse and wash my hands. Adding on good. So mixing the flour. Do I need coconut oil? So coconut oil helps harden your chocolate. So if you don't have it, you can use another oil, because what is chocolate chips keep their shape because they have the stabilizer of their temper. When we melt them, we take them out of temper, which means we have to either get them to the right temperature or we can add something like coconut oil to get them to harden again. But we don't use it. I'm looking for the tablespoon. So, no, you don't add coconut oil to this. This is purely for the chocolate chips. That's for when we do our coatings. I'm looking for the tablespoons. If you can find a tablespoon is equal to 3 teaspoons. So you just have to keep track when you're putting them in. I'm going to grab my small silicone pan because nothing sticks to silicone dough. So I like using a pan. You can use a cutting board. You can use a plate. Because when you got your mix-ins done, you're going to roll them into balls. This should make about 12. You can make them as big or as small as you want. And you're just going to put them on your baking sheet or on your plate. And you're going to pop them into the freezer while we're melting chocolate. So if you want to say like Timbit size. Or if you want to roll them a little bigger. I find these great for breakfast in the morning. Well, now that we're going back to school next week, that's maybe what I'll do. I'll keep them in the freezer and that'll be my breakfast next week. I'll take 2 of them. You can also make these into bars. So I've had students before, and when I've made them before, I've just rolled them into bars, into a square bar. Or you can spread it evenly, freeze it for like 30 minutes, and then cut it into bars. And then you can drizzle chocolate over the top or dip them in chocolate. So guys, we all doing okay here? So it's like when you make chocolate chip cookies, just pinch a little bit Roll quickly. It goes itchy. Just the top of my nose. I'm surprised at how my cat's bawling for something right now. Normally when I'm in the kitchen, my cats come for a visit because they think I'm going to open food for them. The funny thing is, for those who I taught foods to, I still have your pictures. So I have things from the cupcakes, I have things from tortillas, I have things from, I still have the current grade 9s who had to sing a song or make a song. About 12. It'll make between 12. Mine looks like it's going to make about 12. So you might get a few more. Yeah, so I did have some grade 7 sing a song about something they were making. I still had those who submitted videos. I still have them. It's super cute. I might show it at some point if I do that assignment again with grade 7s. Who knows? How you guys faring out? I'm gonna actually get about 30. I'll make these two a little bigger. Chocolate chip pancakes. The pancakes were always awesome. Making breakfast stuff is one of my favorite things to make. Although every time in grade 8 we tried to make tortillas never really came out as well as we've always wanted. The salsa and guacamoles turned out well, but the tortillas, not so much. Thing is, you can actually taste your batter because mine's empty, so I'm done. So I'm gonna quickly rinse my hands. Well, at least I'm thinking I'm getting subscribers coming. Yeah, I have subscribers to my channel now, which is funny because my channel actually is going to have more math videos starting next week. I have some math videos to add for teaching for algebra and stuff like that. So guys, that's what mine looks like. Whoops, they're rolling everywhere. I'll space them back out. They're going to roll because they're balls. So that's what they look like. I have my filling on the inside. I'm gonna space them and I'm gonna toss them in the freezer. And if you guys need a few more minutes to finish rolling them out before I start moving to the chocolate stage, that's not a problem. Anybody still having trouble with their dough? Or are we all good? So I just threw mine in the freezer because it's easier to dip them when they're in the cold. When they're colder or a little frozen, it's easier to roll them in chocolate because you have to be really quick when rolling them in chocolate because it takes down the temperature of your chocolate and they could melt a little bit. So, any questions? So what are you guys, how long in the freezer? I'm essentially gonna leave them in the freezer until we're ready to dip them in chocolate. And it all depends on what you use. Sometimes they'll freeze quicker than others, but you don't need them frozen. You could leave them frozen overnight and then dip them in chocolate afterwards. Or you could, we're not going to. We're going to leave them, it'll be about 20 minutes, by another 10 minutes or so. Please don't start with chocolate. Okay, good to know. What are you guys using for your add-ins? I'm using coconut. What is anybody else using? Double boil the chocolate. Awesome. Granola. Coconuts. It's really one of those things. Chocolate chips. Sweet. Yeah, chocolate chips are good. If you hear meowing, that's dill. Chocolate chips and nuts. Nice boba since I got some earlier. Sweet. More chocolate. Cranberries work. You could use flax. You could use chia. You could use coconut. See, I tell you eventually they come ballin'. So that's dill. So for those who don't know, I have 2 cats, Dill and Pickles. Really? No, you've been fed. Sorry. So we got a lot of coconut, more chocolate. Are we okay to start moving on to the chocolate a little bit so I can at least start getting my chocolate measured? Or do you guys want me to hold off for another minute or 2? Oh, wow. That's great. Chocolate, pecans, chia, and cranberries. That's awesome. I've done the unhealthy version. Do we have to do the chocolate part? No, if you are content with the way they look, you could roll them in coconut. You could roll them in oatmeal. You could roll them in, the chia was an afterthought. No problem. You don't have to dip them in chocolate. You could leave them as is. Or if you want to drizzle chocolate on top, you can also do that. Or if you're, hey, down, get down. Sorry, cat jumped on the cupboard. That does not happen often. So, just gonna wash off that side of it. It's only the end of the countertop, and the cat's not gonna come in contact, but for sanitary reasons, I'm just going to wipe down my countertop. There. I only got 10. That's okay. Size. It's like when we did the cookies in class. Some people got 9, some people got 10, some people got 12, some people got 6. Depends on the size. I'm gonna retie my apron because it's coming loose a little bit. Fix my apron. And right up. I'm just gonna clean up. It always helps to clean as you go a little bit and toss some things back in the fridge. Ready for chocolate. Sweet. If you're going to use a double boiler, awesome. I'm going to use the microwave for the sake that because I'm going to do this step by step. Depends on. I only use a double boiler if I'm going to do a lot of chocolate. Fun thing with chocolate, we have a East Coast thing. Well, back home we have a sandwich called Snack and a Half. So it's literally you take ice cream, you put it in between oatmeal cookies, you freeze it solid, then you roll the whole thing in chocolate. Fantastic. So for chocolate chips, you're gonna need about a cup. So you can use chocolate shavings. I've had people use chocolate bars. Chippets, just because I always have a ton of these on hand. Because I also make like breakfast cookies and stuff that have chocolate chips in them. So you can see I'm using bowls, and it's because my bowls have measurements on them. So I have a half cup, full cup, this whole bowl is 2 cups, and to the line is 1 cup. So I use those instead of a measuring cup. And I'm just going to dump it into a microwave safe. I like using glass because you can see through to the bottom. And I'm also going to add about a teaspoon of coconut oil. So I'm gonna start with 1 teaspoon for a cup of chocolate. Where'd they get what? This? Coconut oil? All I see is big caps. Where did you get that? And I don't know if it's the bowl, the coconut oil, or the chocolate chips. Oh, the measuring bowl. You can get them in the kitchen stores. Like I said, I'm affiliated with a spice company that has them. So yeah, there's a couple of different places like Think Kitchen might have some, Pampered Chef might have some, Epicure has some. There's lots of different places that have them. I like them because super quick, because I have the 2-cup bowls and I also have 1-cup bowls. And they come with lids. So I also use them for breakfast and stuff. Yeah. So I'm going to get a tablespoon. For those who don't have measuring spoons, that's a tablespoon. That much. I also have ones that are like, purple's my favorite color, so I have purple everything. And you can level off. Messes up the fruit. I could guess at who that is, but I'm not going to. So, first 5 seconds. My favorite, honestly, one of my favorite things to still make is bannock, and it's always tablespoon or teaspoon. Oh shoot, teaspoon. Thank you. Because I was going to check that again. Yeah, that's my bad. If you add it, so it's 1 teaspoon. I used the wrong side because my thing has a teaspoon on this end. It's essentially so your chocolate doesn't burn. The oil just helps your chocolate from burning, and you're only gonna go 20 seconds at a time. Yes, pizza was a lot of fun. I also like doing the spring rolls. When we did the spring rolls and the salad rolls, that was a lot of fun. And cookies last year. I still got the picture of you guys flooding cookies. No, it wouldn't be Mateo because I didn't teach. Oh, sorry, I didn't teach him foods. So I'm just gonna use a little bit. Pizza was a lot of fun. Chips were fun when we did the chips and dip. Chicken bites. Chicken bites were great. So yeah, 1 teaspoon. 1 teaspoon of coconut oil. You may need more, and I will show you at different stages what it's gonna look like and if you should add more or not. Yeah, the chicken was a lot of fun. The open house, when we did Nailed It not Nailed It, but when we did demos and you guys did the demos, that was also a lot of fun to watch. Nailed It was a lot of fun. Master Chef, all the fun little random cooking things we do because we have extra food or challenges. I do like the leftover challenge, trying to use leftovers, which is why I changed this recipe to give you guys so many options. Because sometimes you're not always going to have, say, like almond flour. But if you have almonds, you can grind them down. Or oats, you can grind them down. So you can utilize things you have already without having to run out to the grocery store. Nailed it. Yes, that was silly. So I have a cup of chocolate chips, teaspoon. I'm going to put it in my microwave for about 20 to 30 seconds. Start with 20, especially if you have a higher microwave, like a more stronger microwave, because because what will happen is the outside of the chocolate will melt and the inside will still stay solid, and then we'll burn the outside before we melt the inside. So we're going to put it in for about 20 seconds, and then we're going to start. If you don't have a microwave, you could do you have any way to melt things? Because the other way to do it is called a double boiler, where you take a pot, you put water on like medium, not fully boiling, but you put it on medium and then you put the bowl on top, and then the heat from the water will melt it, will melt your chocolate. Okay, please be careful. And you don't need it boiling. You only need it to about a medium. So mine barely got warm with 20 seconds, but my coconut oil was melting. So I can show you a bit on the bottom. No, you can't really see it that well. But my bottom chocolate chips are starting to melt, and my coconut oil is not melted all the way. So I'm just gonna shift them around and stir them a little bit, and then put them back for another 20 seconds. And I'm gonna keep doing that until my chocolate's nice and smooth. One cup of chocolate. So how about this? If you have, say, a tablespoon of milk, do you have any other oil? like canola oil, vegetable oil, any other kind of oil? No, it might not melt. It might take actually up to 1.5 to 2 minutes. It all depends on the strength, but we do it in 20-second intervals so it doesn't burn our chocolate. So if you have, say, vegetable oil, you could also use a teaspoon of vegetable oil because it's just to help coat the bottom of the bowl. It'll help keep the chocolate solidify after, but it's not good. It's going to prevent our chocolate from burning. And if we add milk, what milk does is it actually takes out the stabilizer. Olive oil will work. Yeah, olive oil should work. The only thing is olive oil, things like olive oil, coconut oil have taste to them. So you might notice the taste on your chocolate. Might. Whereas canola oil, vegetable oil don't have as strong a flavor, or sunflower oil. How much longer? I'm just leaving mine in the freezer until my chocolate's done. So after the chocolate's melted, we're going to dip them. We're going to take out your balls and we're going to roll them in the chocolate. So mine's starting to melt a lot. It's getting really melty, so I'm just going to mix. It literally takes about 1.5 minutes. So at 20, if you go 20-second intervals, it'll probably take you about 1.5 minutes, depending on your microwave. My microwave, about 1.5 minutes. So when your chocolate's melted, that's when you're going to, I would recommend you grabbing a fork if you don't have, like you can get chocolate forks and stuff like that. Mine are downstairs in my kit. But you can use a regular fork. Hey, welcome. So you're I don't say wait till the party. This should post afterwards. Wait, how much chocolate? 1 cup. We start with a cup. For tempering? Sure. Somebody said they have some tips for tempering. Normally, chocolate is said to be in temper at 45 degrees Celsius. So if you have a candy thermometer or a regular thermometer and you're doing this in a double boiler, your goal is to hit 45 or slightly over 45 and then add a bit more chocolate so it goes down. Because then the chocolate's going to get super shiny and it'll crack. It'll hold its consistency. Yep, you're just going to dip them in. You're perfect. If they're almost frozen, that's great. You don't have to worry about them. If they are frozen, it just means that they won't fall apart when you roll them in chocolate. You'll get it easier. They'll roll easier in the chocolate if they are the more frozen they are. You can literally leave until your chocolate's done, ready. Yeah. So if your chocolate's ready, then you're just going to dip them in. Mine's still a going. It's not super. So you can see now, after about 1 minute and 20 seconds, mine's starting to get shiny and it's starting to get super smooth. I will actually check my chocolate, make sure my chocolate. Yeah, I have a food thermometer, it has a magnet on it, so I just stick it to the side of my fridge. If it's 45 degrees Celsius, which is, I think it's 90, double it, it's 100 and 45. I'm trying to think. 45 is 120-ish. Does anyone else say stir while I stir something? Sometimes. When it's smooth, so mine's super shiny and mine's almost in temper. I need to put mine in for about another 10 seconds. So essentially, if it is smooth, you will be good to go. And you're going to dip your chocolate in. Use a fork, because a fork will help the excess. So 20 seconds, that'll be good. Grab my freezer. Mine are not frozen. Mine are holding their shape really well. Say stir. Sometimes I tend to sing. having a Google Home play music in the background, that's what I tend to do with sing or lately these days, my FSL, French Second Language crew, has been presenting songs, and they have some really cool songs, so I've been saving them on Spotify, and a lot of them are stuck in my head, and I've been listening to them. So my chocolate is super smooth. It's nice and shiny. And I'm going to start dipping my protein balls. So take a fork. If your protein balls are frozen, you can actually poke them with a fork if they're not falling apart. It's better than the Kahoot theme song, yeah. So roll them around, and you can just roll them through your chocolate. And I use a fork because I find it easier. I'm just gonna tap them on the side so that the excess chocolate runs off. Now you might need to remelt your chocolate partway through because the chocolate will cool and solidify as you're doing this if you're not too quick. So yeah, that's my first one done. And I use a little spatula. You can use a second fork or a knife, just something with a straight edge to help you pull them off the fork if you're poking them. I fix the edge and put it back onto the silicone like that. And then I'm going to toss them back in the freezer or the fridge for 30 minutes. Mine fell apart in the chocolate. Okay, that means yours is probably a little too dry. So if yours fell apart in the chocolate, you might want to throw them back in the freezer for a little bit. Or don't poke them. Just drop it in the chocolate, roll it around with a fork till it's coated, and then lift it out like that. And then tap them to the side. The fun thing is it's not that much different from making and Rice Krispies and powdered sugar, peanut butter Rice Krispies, powdered sugar, and what else? I forget what else. I put maple in it too, I think. And then I do the same thing, freeze them and roll them in chocolate. So good. Well, anything rolled in chocolate, dipped in chocolate is good. I also make chocolate truffles. So truffles is it's kind of like a soft inside like this, and you freeze them and then you roll them in chocolate. So have you ever had chocolate like Lindors? Essentially, you can make something like a Lindor. If you, oops, fell off. And sometimes it falls off your fork back into the chocolate. My favorite thing, Julia Child says, no apologies. You just pick it up and keep on moving. Chip, chip, chip. You keep on tossing them in. So anybody finished with theirs? If they're frozen, that's okay. It depends on your freezer. But the thing is, when you bite into them, they're not going to be rock hard. They're not going to be rock solid all the way through. You can let them soften up a little bit and eat them that way. Mine didn't freeze at all. Mine are cold, but they're not frozen. But I also didn't put mine in the deep freeze. I put mine in like the fridge freezer. So mine will. If I put mine in the deep freeze, mine would have froze a lot better. But essentially the goal is they stay together when you roll them in chocolate. It's okay, put them in the fridge. Or as long as they don't, like I said, the goal is to have them not fall apart in the chocolate. So if you don't have the freezer space, that's fine. Put them in the fridge. And if your chocolate's in temper, these will set in about 5 minutes. If it's not quite in temper, or if it's too warm or too cold, it might take a little longer. And you need to keep these in the fridge. So once they're all set up nicely, you put them in the fridge and eat them when you're ready. If they make it to the fridge, because I have a feeling some of you guys your siblings and families might get at them and you're not gonna, you'll finish them pretty quick. How's everybody doing? So the one that says Tiny Time, how you doing with your chocolate? Is your chocolate doing okay? So guys, for those who are dipping already, while your chocolate is soft and not set, if you want to put some more toppings on, like I'm gonna add a little bit of extra toasted coconut to mine. And I didn't do this quick enough because now my chocolate's setting too quick. You can add some more toasted coconut. Okay, it's good to hear. I also have some cocoa ones. And the fun thing is you can actually modify and do all different kinds of flavors. So if you have vanilla protein powder and you have dried blueberries, you could do vanilla with dried blueberries and roll them in white chocolate and add a bit of lemon juice. Oops, mine fell off. So you don't have to do a dark chocolate one. You could also do a white chocolate one if you're into white chocolate. I am not a fan of white chocolate, so I would not do white chocolate. But to each his own. Whatever floats your boat. As I say, I gotta say back home. Whatever floats your boat, fill your boots. Yeah, we're just gonna roll them. There. Whatever floats your boat. Yeah. Well, we say whatever floats your boat, fill your boots. So I'm gonna add a little bit of extra toasted coconut on top. And the thing is, these are so easy to make, and well, you guys all just made them. But also, there's ones where you can actually, instead of using the flour, you could actually grind dates. You can take medjool dates, the dry ones, and put them in the food processor and grind them down and mix them with a bit of with your protein powder and stuff, and you can make it with that. So I have another one I made that's dates, protein powder, hemp hearts, and it's the same three things, almost in the same ratio mixed in. And you run it through the food processor, then roll them into balls, freeze them, and dip them in chocolate. Okay, you have to melt more chocolate. That might happen too. So I actually had enough chocolate. I did a cup. And again, depends on your chocolate chips, measurements. Those are what mine look like. So if you want to send me photos, or if you take pictures and submit them to your homeroom teachers, you could also put them for the yearbook, yes. So yeah, that's what mine look like. I would honestly try. So for those of who I teach math to, you're gonna like this because now next week, remember I told you if we're back next week, I'm bringing you cookies, the ones we made in math. We need more photos, please send some. Yeah, I know, Miss. They told me they took a lot of the foods photos last year for the yearbook last year. So apparently we look like we're a culinary school at some point because I took over 1,000 photos of foods last year alone. Take about 1,000 to 1,500 every year with everything that goes on. So yeah, if you guys take pictures of your creations, take pictures with yourself and submit them into your book, and I will let them know that we're doing this. So thank you. I'm quite excited. They turned out really well. So you'll know if your chocolate's tempered. Like it won't be tacky. It'll be soft. Nothing will stick to your hands. It might not. It might need up to 30 minutes in the fridge. If it's in temper, it'll cool. It'll cool and harden within 5 minutes. Yes, you can do double layer chocolate. I've done them before where I've melted white chocolate, or I have the I have the colored melts sometimes, the candy melts, or the coloring. And I've done that when I do cream eggs for Easter. I'll take the white chocolate, melt it down, and I'll add coloring to it, and I'll drizzle it over top with a fork and just make it so you have the dark chocolate, and then you have the color on top. Or you could use things like milk chocolate and dark chocolate. Yeah, cream eggs are actually, what they say, like they call them Cadbury cream eggs. Cream eggs are not that hard to make. It's a lot of powdered sugar. It's essentially sugar, sugar, and more sugar, and a bit of butter. Oh, awesome. That sounds awesome. Dark chocolate and white chocolate. Like I said, any of you, if you want to submit anything to your book, can't wait to eat this. I'm actually going to I'm going to put mine in the freezer for a few minutes while you guys are dipping yours and finishing up. And then we can try them in a few minutes when they're all coming out. And these are healthy for you too. Imagine that. They're actually good for you. Thanks, Mr. Sager. And I know some people made them at home after Outdoor Ed last term, and they're like, yeah, they were amazing, or they were terrible. I mixed so much of, depending on what they use. Yeah, it'll all taste different. So I'm curious to try. I've been wanting to make lemon blueberries, like one of my favorite flavor combinations, other than chocolate and strawberry, chocolate and raspberries. So you can also get freeze-dried fruit or dried fruit. So like dried strawberries. Nice try, kiddo. Chocolate is healthy in small doses, like everything. Dark chocolate is good it's a good antioxidant, depending on how dark it is. Milk chocolate contains a lot of sugar. Just checking your comments. Yeah, we should try it. Hey, but next week, we're in person, so we'll figure out what time to get that working. I have a feeling it's going to be Friday afternoon. So, question for you guys. If we did something on a Friday afternoon, would you guys be able to attend? Because Fridays are half days for us. So everybody who sent me an email saying they were interested, I sent the recipe to them. So if you didn't get a recipe, could you send me, oh, not this Friday, I know, next Friday. So like next Friday, so next week I'm gonna do burgers, but because we're back in person, I'm wondering if Friday afternoon, because you guys are done at 12 or at noon, I'm not, I have meetings, but probably around like say 3 to actually do burgers. But yeah, we don't have school this Friday or this Monday coming. Yes, no, maybe. So I'll take a look at the schedule. But I will send out the recipe for burgers this week. I'll get it done. Probably tomorrow's Thursday. I'll get it done tomorrow, and I'll ask them to send it out to the whole school. Streaming career. Maybe not. I've already promised my homeroom that the Great Canadian Bake Off, the next time they have a casting call, that I will send in an audition tape. I promised my homeroom that, and I'm going to stick with it. So yeah, next one is chicken burgers or beef burgers. So I'll do both. I told you I did. I did promise you, and I will do it. I'm not going to renege on that. It's just they're not accepting calls right now. You can put them in either. So freezer will just set them a little quicker. You can keep them in the fridge. Once they're set up, I would just put them in an airtight container. and keep them in the fridge until you're ready to eat them. Because sometimes they do contain milk. I probably wouldn't be the first person. The funny thing. But you know what? I'm very content with being math and foods teacher. And if it'd be kind of hilarious if I did get on, that would be really hilarious though. So yeah, we are literally an hour and 2 minutes in. How are you guys things turning out? Is anybody stuck on anything? You doing all right? Next thing I need to learn to do is how to edit this stuff. No, I know how to edit, just taking the time to. Decent already? They're interesting. Okay, so when you say they're interesting, what's going on there? Yours look weird. Is it the shape of them? Is it just so I'm gonna take mine are in the freezer, so they should be mine will probably be set by now. So you should be able to pick them up. So mine actually are set all the way through. They're stuck a little bit to the bottom. So that's what they look like. I'm not gonna just bite into it. I'm going to take a knife and show you guys what mine look like on the inside. Got my dough ratio a bit off. And you know, sometimes it takes practice. I've done these so many times, and there are times I've made stuff that were like epic fails. Everything from cupcakes to cookies. So mine kind of look like a chocolate truffle. So when I open mine, that's what mine look like on the inside. The mixtures are, everything's mixed in. I have a bit of a topping on it. And it's super creamy. Very good. They taste good. Perfect. And that's the goal ultimately, right?